everybody. Welcome to episode 113 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight? I got nothing.
You got nothing. It's the spine of the world, Michael K. Hughes.
It's me, Henry Chan.
Welcome. First time on the show.
Yeah.
I'd love to just drop the guest in with no information. Like, we do an intro, but we're not going to tell you about it, so you're just another in a long line.
Yeah, we've done it, everybody.
Practically tradition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did it to me when I was guesting.
Before we introduce what we're talking about, Henry, you want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel?
Sure. I do video essays on games. So far, I've done one on Last of Us Part 2, Judgment, and recently Assassin's Creed Origins.
So definitely. And what is your YouTube channel?
Henry Chan, just my name. HenryChan.
All right. And there will be a link in the show notes to your YouTube channel if you want to check that out.
Oh,
I saw part of the Origin video. It was like an hour long, and I'm like, okay, that's a lot. Or over an hour.
Yeah, it's very long.
It's probably not the guy that's talking about climate change that came up when I searched it, so.
Oof, maybe I need to rebrand at some point.
Here's a guy talking about boulders, so that's probably not you either.
Okay. The Lost of Forest in Borneo. That's not him.
No.
Hey, he did. Nope, that Henry Chan with only 3 videos. That's not him either.
Nope, there's one that looks like it's in Korea talking about basketball practice. Probably not. Okay, we'll talk about this after the show.
It's kind of funny. All right, and Mike, since this is your pick, why don't you introduce what we're talking about tonight?
We are talking about 2014's Transistor from Supergiant Games. And this is their second game. They did Bastion in 2011, which I think was a big hit. And this was the follow-up. And then 2017, they made Pyre, which I can't remember if I said it on recording last week, that all I know about Pyre is that the name is Pyre and that Supergiant made it. Like, I don't remember anyone talking about it at the time or even now. And then they made some other game I've never heard of. I think Hades? What is this game? Hades is doing super well for them. People love that game. So I'm curious to see where they go from here. Yeah, relatively small library for a developer.
Yeah, they don't have a lot, right? Yeah, it is kind of surprising.
But they're definitely quality over quantity, which is all right by me.
Like, I had played Bastion a long time ago, but it's been a long time, and I'd always meant to play Transistor. I don't know why I didn't. I think it might have been Transistor was Xbox One only at the time, or it's PS4. It wasn't on 360. So I was like, okay, I can't play this at the time because all I had was a 360. So I just didn't even care, and I completely forgot that this game really, like I knew it came out, I knew it existed, but I just had no intention to ever play it. Like I didn't care, I guess. And
yeah, it's definitely one that I was always super interested in. I think I started like the first hour of it multiple times, just put it down for whatever reason. What about you, Henry?
I picked it up at some point, and when I first played it, I did not like it much, but I was much dumber than I am now.
Well, it's a very different type of game because it can be turn-based, but it's also action-based depending on how you want to play, it's very unique. Like when I first started playing this, the game kind of just drops you into this world, and you're playing with this girl that doesn't speak with a giant glowing sword, and it doesn't really I don't really understand what was happening. I still don't understand what was happening, and I beat this game. But it's just so the battle system is you have different attacks. Like when it starts out, you have like one attack you can use. You press the button, she flashes her sword. Okay, and as the game, and then in that first battle, it teaches you that you can either after so much time passes, you get a turn. You click a button, and everything freezes except for you, and you're able to move to an enemy, slash an enemy, hit an enemy so many times, and kind of like plan out what you're going to do in a turn where they can't counterattack you. And I thought that was that's the main way I think you're supposed to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which my gameplay devolved into not doing that, which we'll touch on later, but I kind of abused a system because each function that you get throughout the game you can use to power up one of your attacks. So like if you get bounce and attach it to something, it'll make it so that thing will bounce between enemies or whatever, what have you. Yes. But it's a very cool system, and I love stuff like that.
I was not super fond of that, but I used it sometimes.
How dare you?
It didn't work for me very well.
Well, I've got bad news for you about X-Men Destiny.
it's kind of like the gameplay. That's mostly the gameplay is you go into an area. You'll be walking through the world that you're in. Continue. We'll get more into this, but just give like the basic breakdown. And a battle will start, and then it will kind of like section off where you're at, like a normal RPG type game would be, except you're in an area like Chrono Trigger does. So you can move around. And as the game progresses, you'll get more abilities. You can hold up to 4 abilities you can choose from, and sometimes they have like a cooldown effect on them. I want to say, like for some of them.
Yeah, and then each one takes more of the turn order when you use it during the turn mode.
It has RPG elements to it too, because as you kill enemies, you end up gaining experience and you get to level up, and you get new abilities and stuff.
Yep, it's pretty cool.
But it's not like you can't really like grind because you can't keep fighting enemies over and over again.
Yeah, it's very linear as far as where you're supposed to go and where it'll let you go. Like if you go through a doorway, typically it won't let you go back the way you came. So it's always ushering you towards the next story beat.
It's very interesting, and the story is very it's not given to you. Like I didn't understand what the hell was going on in the first hour of this game at all.
That's why we got Henry, so he can explain to us what's happening in the story.
I do have notes on this story.
Well, no, that's fine because
I knew you were the right person.
Really tell you.
No, it doesn't tell you at all. I still don't know like some of the key plot points or like what some stuff was about and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Like Mike said, it just drops you into the world. Like Red wakes up, she has no voice, she pulls the sword out of her boyfriend's corpse, and like you're just wondering how you got here. And they kind of give you a little replay of it later on, but I found more information in the launch trailer where it shows the bad guys, Camarada, yeah, of them attacking Red, and basically the man in the Transistor is giving a recap of they took your voice, they killed me, we need to go stop whatever they're doing.
It's kind of dark.
A little bit.
Oh,
I didn't notice that was his body though. In the sword, like I didn't know that was his body. I didn't know it was a body at all. I thought it was just a sword sticking in the wall. It wasn't until later on I realized, that isn't a person.
Oh, so all of the functions were people. Did you get that?
Later on, after I finished the game, yes.
Yeah, it's like people killed by the Transistor appear in the Transistor as data.
Oh.
So like as you acquire these functions, you can use them either as main abilities or as passive abilities or to power up the other ones, and you unlock more information about each character that's tied to that particular function. So you can get a little bit of backstory in each character, which I really wish I'd taken the time to read through all of it. But
I did read through all of them.
Excellent.
That I got.
It's very fascinating. I really wanted to with this one, but then I was like, I don't know what's happening. Probably because I'm not reading all the story, but
it doesn't hand it to you. The game you have. I mean, there are cutscenes or kind of cutscenes. There is stuff where they talk. I mean, Transistor's talking to you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just mainly like it's a very interesting conversation as you're walking through Cloudbank, which is the city that you're in. They'll be like, "Oh, the bars used to be good here. They're not anymore."
Yeah,
just stuff like that constantly.
It's very reminiscent of the narrator in Bastion, where he's kind of like saying what you're doing as you do it. But it's more just flavor in this one.
I really like it. Like there's a part where no reason you go and order a pizza and you get to choose what kind of pizza you want. And he's like, "I hope we get back to the apartment in time before it gets old." Like, and it works because it's just. I mean, I didn't really understand at first that it was her boyfriend in the sword. Like that didn't compute right away for some reason. I don't know why.
It's your sword boyfriend.
Yeah. It's Xenogears 2 before Xenogears 2.
I have no idea.
I didn't figure you were going to get anything out of that. Like Pyre and Mythra that were just announced for Smash, they are basically weapons that Rex uses.
Oh my god, I played that part.
You mean Xenoblade? It says Xenogears. That's what confused me too.
Oh yeah, my bad.
There is no Xenogears 2.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Which I don't know if they're even related, Xenogears. I can't remember.
They have Xeno in the title.
Yes. We're not going to go in that conversation. That would go kind of deep. We'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Almost happened already. But, so, I mean,
this game.
And I like the storytelling with this game is that it's all given to you. And also, you find consoles throughout the game that give you choices and give you a little bit of backstory of what's happening. There's a reporter talking about is it the Purge? No, not the Purge. The
Process?
Process, yeah, talking about that and little things like that, and I think are very interesting. Like, it doesn't, it's all just there, but you have to be looking for it to find the extra, like, the backstory. I mean, they give you some, like, oh, hey, we're trying to find the Camarade. We got to stop these robots that are destroying Cloud Bank, which are called the Process, which are really kind of frightening, even though they're just white robots, but they're kind of odd looking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they're low-key terrifying. Some of those designs, especially towards the end, like those man creatures.
Man, the man suck.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so the Camarada comes in, kills your boyfriend with a sword, which you find out they were kind of going for you. So you're setting out to basically get revenge, and you're encountering all these robot people. And then you find out that the Camarada created them with the help of the Transistor, I think?
Yes. The Transistor...
kind of.
Isn't the Transistor like a paintbrush or something that I know one person someone describes as like the paintbrush for this world, that it can rewrite the world?
Yeah, but the world like regularly gets rewritten, kind of. Like you can find stuff where they like can just change the color of the sky and like the weather on a whim. So the process was like, I think the process was already part of Cloud Bank, that they used it to like rearrange it, because it's like a digital city, kind of.
Yeah, so it was more of a democracy thing where people could vote on what the sky was or what the weather was, and they're like, yeah, we want to do that. We want to make it in our image.
Yeah, basically.
So they take your voice to basically use your voice to show that you want what they want. That's what I took from it anyway.
I never figured that out, actually, why they just go after like influential figures, but I could never really piece together why.
Mm-hmm.
I think they took her voice to use her voice because she was influential to help push what they're doing. Essentially be like a celebrity saying, oh, hey, do this, but it's not really her talking.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of what they were up to. That's the game doesn't explain it super well because they don't want to. It's part of it is to have you discuss it, have you think about it, have it stay in your brain. Kind of did.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, also, like, I like how the town, like, when you first start in town, it looks kind of normal. You have these white blocks, which are the same type of color of the process, like, that don't really fit in, but everything else looks kind of normal-ish. But as the game progresses, the city starts becoming more and more processed, essentially, where it's all very bland. It's all very white and corporate.
White slate.
Yeah.
A clean slate.
Yeah, that's probably what they're going for.
That aesthetic, I really like it in this game. Everything looks watercolor painted and whatnot before it's wiped clean. It's a very cool choice.
And like you were saying with the power-ups too, you find dead bodies that give you power-ups.
Pretty much.
To put your other thing, they tried to kill her with a transistor. They think they threw it at her, but it missed her for some reason and went into her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend took the blow for her, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
I think I read online that Sybil, who had originally, she's one of the Camarada who said they should get you, knew that the boyfriend would try and defend her, knew he would be there. So part of this was planned by her, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because she liked Red.
Yeah.
Right.
She was jealous of the boyfriend, so she was trying to have him killed, essentially.
There you go.
And the enemy variety, I think, is there's actually a decent amount of, as the game progresses, you get different enemy variety. I mean, you fight the same stuff, but it felt like they'll change them a little bit. Like they did enough to change up the gameplay where it didn't feel like I was just grinding away in an RPG.
Yeah. There's a decent variety, even outside of the upgrades. There's a decent variety for as short as the game is. It's only like 4 to 6 hours. But yeah, like you said, they kind of upgrade throughout the course of the game. Like, the cheerleaders, the little bastards, will shield other enemies, and eventually they get to the point where they shield themselves periodically, too. So you have to wait for their shield to go down, kill them, and then you can kill the other enemy.
No, I just beat on them and thought that's what got rid of the shield.
Yeah, I think it kind of just goes off every so often.
Okay. They were annoying. But it's cool how it has that in this game, how so many things change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the enemies are constantly changing, just like your world is. And
your weapon loadout constantly changes too if you mess around with a different function.
Mine kept changing because I would die. Like if you lose in a battle, the first thing that will happen is if your health goes down to 0, it will take away one of your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you get the emergency turn, and then if you go from there and lose, it deletes whichever function uses the most turn order, I think.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know what was the math or what was the reasoning for it.
I think it's through one of the loading tooltips that I learned that.
I had a game to play. I did. I did have fun though, but I just kept playing.
I was constantly trying to unlock all the journal entries by using the process or the functions in different ways. So my loadout was constantly changing too, but I always tried to keep Crash on because it's the one that you start with. It's the easiest to use, and it makes everything more susceptible to other functions.
I don't think I use Crash very often.
Crash is very good for setting up devastating combos because you can mix it with Breach, I think, and then it does a lot more damage. So that's a huge killer.
So Mask, if you use it as an active ability, it makes you invisible. But if you attach it to something else, it does more damage from behind. So I would activate turn, go behind the enemy, use Crash to make him more susceptible, and then use the Masked Breach to do just absolute damage to him.
Okay, you played this differently than I did then.
It's fun when you really start messing with the options.
I tried, but I experimented because I kept dying, so I would lose abilities and have to experiment with other abilities, so I would have abilities. But I had a tough time sometime with the gameplay. I guess I would mess up and put the things in different places because you can take the other upgrades you get and put them in different abilities like we were talking about to change the abilities. And I would do that, but I would get stuck on the same that I was used to and I liked, and I would just keep using those. I wouldn't experiment.
But because of the enemies upgrade, you're supposed to change up your tactics too to compensate for it.
You met me. I don't.
Yeah, I know.
When I find something I like, I stick with it.
That's what I eventually devolved into because you get Ping, which is just a rapid fire shot, and I put that with Purge, which does damage over time. I think it's Purge. I don't know. One of those.
Doesn't matter.
But it just turned into a shooter for me because I would hit them with Ping and they would continuously take damage, and while that was happening, I'd move to another enemy and hit them with Ping. It ended up being a lot of fun that way too.
That's really interesting. I hadn't even considered that combo. I slept Ping on Breach, I think.
Oh yeah, because it reduces the planning costs according to this wiki if you put it as a secondary function. So yeah, that's pretty smart too. But there are a lot of options, obviously, to the point where it even changes how you play the game. I went from turn-based combat to just over a top-down shooter.
Which I find that hard because, I know sometimes I would have where I would do an attack and it would hit and then I could do it right away again. And some attacks it would make me have, longer cooldowns.
Mm-hmm. Basically, the more powerful it is, the longer it's going to make you wait in between uses.
I did a lot of running, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of running. Jaunt helps quite a bit for that.
Yeah, Jaunt is essential. If you want to unlock the lore for that character, you pretty much have to switch that one out early on, or you're just dead late game.
Mm-hmm. I ended up using it. I put it in Ping too, so as a secondary function, Jaunt makes it whatever you attach it to be able to be used while your turn is refilling.
Oh man.
Yes. So I would use up all my turn order using the Crash Breach combo, and then while that was refilling, I would run around using the Ping. It's a lot of fun. I really like this game.
I'm glad, though. I'm glad that you did.
Mm-hmm. I was happy to finally play it all the way through, because that's what's great about this show is you put something on here, and it's basically an excuse to finally sit down and play something. Or to make the other person suffer by making them play something like Robotech.
Hey, I suffered, too. I just enjoyed the suffering, but that was a bad game. Yes. We keep referencing it, too.
Uh-huh.
Another thing about this town, I know that they mentioned with the democracy thing we were talking about, is that there's a mention somewhere in the story about how they would build a bridge, but then people would change their mind. They would change that bridge into a road, or change that road into a train. They couldn't make up their mind what they wanted because people would vote differently, and that's what the Camarade was trying to stop that from happening. Okay, we're just going to make it so things stay and stop changing all the time, so we can improve the city.
That makes sense.
It's something like that. The Camarade are these four people who are working together, who were the ones that started the whole thing with the process going crazy and changing the entire city and killing people.
Like you do.
Because the process is it's killing everybody is essentially what it's doing. It's converting everything. And I love when you see an area that's very been processed, like you were saying before, everything's just white slate. It's it's kind of unnerving, especially because the city is so colorful when you're in normal parts of the city that haven't been affected yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't run into other living people in this game. They're either dead already, they've evacuated, or they've been processed.
You meet one living person.
One guy, the final boss.
Yeah.
Everybody else is dead. I probably should have said spoilers for Transistor when we started this episode.
Yeah, well.
People know by now what the show is.
I would think so.
It doesn't. I mean, this game doesn't. The story is really cool, but it's just a very interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you heard what we're saying, I don't think it would really make sense if you didn't play the game.
Like all three of us have played through it, and even Henry, who's a super fan, is not even 100% sure what's going on.
This is my third playthrough, and I had forgotten like basically everything except for like the ending and the beginning until I did this recent playthrough.
That's fun though, to be able to just replay a game for the first time.
Yeah.
I wish I could replay Chrono Trigger again for the first time.
But it's still fun every time.
And okay, I do have a question. There's one enemy that would take pictures of you. What does that even do?
Obscures the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. That didn't affect much. I was always so confused. Like, what is it? Is this hurting me? Like, what's happening here? Because it would just take pictures, and a little like a picture of her would pop up on the screen and block part of the screen. But it didn't affect me any. I'm like, what is the point of this?
It just let me see Red's beautiful face.
Yeah.
And it does attack you as well, but like once it gets upgraded, I think that's when like the screen obscuring like really becomes like kind of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It was just annoying to me.
Snapshots are what they're called.
Okay, and it's I just love all the dialogue back and forth between her and the sword.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good because she can't talk.
Exactly. Yeah. So the few times she talks to him, she talks through those OVC, the weather, the news machines. And my favorite moment in the game comes from her typing on one of those. It's when Transistor's being affected by the spine, which is this giant worm-like enemy that you see flying around in the backgrounds.
Yeah.
And whenever he gets close to it, he gets all messed up, which leads to basically him acting like he's drunk a couple of times, which is funny, just like it is in Big Hero 6 when Baymax is on low battery mode. But he's kind of freaking out because, of course, he's scared. Something's wrong with him. And she's like, I'm going to find whatever's doing this and break its heart. Like, oh, that's such a badass moment. And she does. You fight the spine and you go inside it and literally break its heart.
That was not a fun fight for me.
No, it wasn't fun for me, and I was playing the game right, so I think it's just meant to be tough.
I had a hard time with it. The boss fights I thought are hard in this game too.
The three of them. You fight the spine twice, you fight Sybil, and then Royce at the end, which is we'll get there.
I do want to talk about Sybil a little bit. So Sybil, like I didn't really when you fight Sybil early in the game, I didn't really understand what was happening in the game. Like I didn't understand where it was going. I didn't know I was completely confused, and I didn't catch on that Sybil was a person really. Like I mean, they mentioned it right in the first, like right when you get to like, oh, Sybil, I used to work with her, and she got processed and stuff, and it didn't really click, I guess, right away.
Yeah,
that's a messed up fight.
It likes to leave you with more questions than answers. Like, even as we said through the end of the game, you're still like, oh wait, what?
Yeah, it does it a lot, though. Do you have anything you want to add, Henry, about Sybil, or?
I just had a lot of, that was probably the hardest fight in the game for me, because I hadn't really figured out a good loadout yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty early on, and she's got 3 forms, I think?
Yeah, and a lot of health.
Yeah, she's pretty tough. And I was kind of disappointed later on in the game because I thought that she was setting up the standard. Like, you were going to fight her and then you were going to fight Grant and Asher when you get to them. And it was such a letdown. You're going up through this big tower where the Camarada's base is, and Grant's talking to you on the OVC machines. It's like, okay, you're almost here. Asher's kind of losing it. And you get up there and Asher has killed himself, and Grant, not wanting to live without him, also did, or vice versa. I might have had those names backwards the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's Asher who's talking to you, but it's intended to be an anticlimax. I think with them killing themselves.
It's kind of heartbreaking too, because they couldn't handle what was happening with the process either.
Mm-hmm. This guilt. They wanted to rewrite the world, but they kind of did it in the worst way.
It wasn't their plan.
Yeah.
I think that's also very interesting too, is that they wanted to make this happen, but not. It went a lot worse than they had any expectation to. Like, they did not think they were going to lose control of the process, or that the process would just start killing everyone and rewriting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also very interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's because they didn't have like the transistor, because they went after Red, so then they couldn't control the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all Red's fault then.
It's all their fault. Trying to use this most powerful weapon tool and losing control of it.
How they lose it? Just because it went and killed the guy and they just lost it then?
Yeah, that's unclear.
It's unclear. I think it's deliberately unclear, though.
Yeah, I would imagine, like, as soon as the transistor left their possession, the process probably went a little crazy.
Oh, plus, didn't it teleport too, I think?
Yes, it did, because I think the boyfriend might have teleported them.
Okay, because where it stabs him and where they end up are two completely different places.
I thought it all took place on the empty set.
Yes, but when you find his body, it's not on there.
Yeah, you're on the
because you're getting to the empty set. That's right.
So that makes sense. Okay, so they hit him with the sword, and then they couldn't find. Then they didn't know where it went.
Right. God, this game's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
It is very. And then the enemies, like as I said before, one of the enemies I want to mention is the cluckers. They're like they make chicken sounds. They throw eggs at you, like bombs, and run away.
They look like, God, I don't even know what. They just look like early PS1 third-person platformer enemies. It's like something from Billy Hatcher or something, which I know is not PS1, but still.
No, I want to play it though. By the way,
it's okay. that is your call. I'm not picking it.
Glowing recommendation.
And also, like as I was saying before, like when you lose, I got sidetracked. When you lose abilities, you have to, before you can get them back, you have to like find two different terminals. So maybe go to like a battle or two, and then you'll find two terminals, and you can get them back.
Mm-hmm. Those
I thought that was
where you change your loadout, where you can see all this other information and whatnot.
Yeah, and they're quite often almost they're after like most battles. You'll find pretty they're spread out pretty well. Like you can go back to one, but that won't help you reset the timer. I found out because I tried. Yeah, they definitely probably do people just do that. Like I tried.
They want to give you plenty of options to change up how you're playing and your abilities and stuff.
Like I'm watching a video right now as we talk, and they're playing completely different than how I played.
Oh, that would be interesting to watch, just to see what other loadouts people use.
Oh, I actually had to watch a video to see what loadout they use for a certain fight in this game. We'll get there. The thing that also surprised, like when we first fight Sybil, you have to kill her 3 times because since she was human, and then process, she's kind of like you, where you crash her once, and she can keep going. And I did not like that. I barely beat that fight.
It's pretty tough. So there's only 3 boss fights, and they're all pretty hard because you're just not used to it at that point.
And this game is divided up in pretty interesting chapters. Like at the end of each chapter, we should say, like she gets on something. One, you get to the bike, and she rides the bike, and it goes from the way the graphics are normally to like a comic book style drawing of a 2D thing where she's on the bike, and you can press A to power it up for absolutely no reason, but you can just do it.
It looks cool.
It looks cool.
It's very cool. It's the role of cool.
It was very interesting, and again, it was just more talking of just the more sword talking to her, even though she can't talk back. And
he's got such a nice voice, though.
And you can feel the thing is, you can feel the relationship between the two, even though she's not talking to him. You can still feel it, and I thought that was very interesting how it made me actually care.
Yeah, she's a great silent protagonist because she is silent, but she's still a character. It's very good.
Yeah, it's not just I don't want to shit on Chrono with you, Mike, but characters like that, where they're just there not saying anything, and you're just like, is this guy all right? Like, why isn't he talking?
Hey, Chrono has one line in that game.
Yeah, well, it's during one of the non-canon endings.
Yes, I know. I'm aware.
It is cool that they gave us a silent protagonist with an explanation why she's silent, and then still is able to talk in a way anyway.
The parts when she types, deletes what she's typing, and then retypes things so he can see it, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
It's kind of... This game is heart-wrenching at times, though.
Oh, God. Yeah, we'll get to the ending for sure, but... We're
man. Far from there.
I like just even the little aesthetic things, like the sword is too big for her to carry, so she just drags it behind her, and it leaves the little circuit tree sparks behind it.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, does that little, thing where you can press R1 for me at least, and where she like jumps in the air and twirls. It doesn't speed up anything. There's no purpose to it, is there?
The flourish? No, it's just for it's for show. And even he's like, I don't think I can handle you throwing me around a whole lot more.
Oh, did you do it a bunch?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. Okay. There's that button, and there's one that makes her hum along to the music that's playing, which is beautiful. Again, serves no purpose, but man, is it cool.
The head buttons.
They actually foreshadow the ending theme with that. If you use it during the first section when the sword gets like red drunk, if you hum, she hums the ending theme.
Ooh, awesome.
That's cool.
That's a really nice detail.
But speaking of the music, the song that plays very early on, The Spine of the World, is absolutely incredible. Like, I have it on my Apple Music, and it comes up on my shuffle all the time, and it's just such a pretty song. Nothing.
I did enjoy it. I actually played this without headphones. Without podcast. I actually listened to this entire game while playing it.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know what it is about it, but it definitely ropes you in with what little talking and music and whatnot there is.
It's the character development. It's just the way that you end up feeling for this character and the way they designed her, that you actually want to care about her.
The soundtrack is actually it's probably my favorite game soundtrack of all time. Mm-hmm. And also just like one of my top 5 albums, period. Like, it's so good.
I think that was the first time we talked about it in Overblood, is talking about the soundtrack. And I'm like, I'm going to make a mental note about this Henry Chan, because I think he's going to be on this episode when we get to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't, I wish I knew better ways to talk about how great the soundtrack is, because it's just incredible.
It's definitely one that I recommend looking up and just listening to, because it's great.
It's on YouTube.
I imagine so. It's probably on Spotify and all that good stuff too.
Yeah. I don't include music on this podcast like some shows would right now, because I don't want to dealing with copyright issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
It definitely sucks, because I would love to do just a music episode and basically rip off Brett Elston's. God damn it! What the hell? VG Empire. Jeez.
You can do it, but it's just there's certain issues with it, and I just don't want to mess with it. I know fair use if you're talking about it while it's playing for X amount, but I just don't want to fuck around with it.
It's better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Because it can fuck up your entire YouTube channel. It doesn't really matter right now, but it can mess things up. I don't want to go down that road.
Definitely, at least check out The Spine of the World, because it's a beautiful song.
Okay. I don't remember it. None of the songs, I enjoyed them while they were happy, but nothing stuck with me. But then again...
Yeah, this was, I think, the only one that has lyrics to it.
There's a couple that have lyrics. This is, I've listened to the soundtrack more than I've played the game.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's a good couple. The track When You Fight Sybil also has lyrics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember any lyrics in this game. But it could be I just don't remember, because it's been a week.
The Spine of the World happens very early on. I think it's in the first or second chamber that you're in. You go to the end of it and you check out a poster of Red, and he's just like, "Come on, you don't need to see this. Let's go." And if you stand there, he's just like, "No, come on, we need to go. This isn't healthy." But that song's playing in the background and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I wish I could remember it better. But I have
That's okay.
No recollection of this event.
They do actually tell you on the YouTube page that the story is really important, or the music is really important to the story. And I think that's really interesting, because even more than Bastion or Pyre or Hades, the music is really integral to Transistor's story because of how Red is the singer for it, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we mentioned that she's a singer.
That has no voice. Yeah. Isn't it ironic? It makes sense why they took her voice. And and many different story wise and just kind of theme wise and everything.
As a singer, that's all she had. So
yeah,
drives her to desperation too, and they kill her boyfriend, and she's like, "Okay, we need to do something about these
people."
Kill
everybody. Yeah. And you're mostly just fighting robots. I guess it's just a little different too, though, because everyone's already dead. So I know there's a lot of talks that Cloudbank, or in the lore, when I was watching videos on YouTube, that Cloudbank is actually a computer. You're inside a computer or a VR world or something. People think.
I didn't get any of that, but they definitely talk about going to the country with a capital C.
Yeah.
Typically when people die. So I don't know. I think it's one of those open to interpretation kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah, I think country is like a euphemism, maybe. Just like by the farm,
Yeah, basically heaven.
Okay.
Without calling it that.
Yeah, if you did that, Nintendo wouldn't publish you on Super Nintendo. So. But also, we should talk about that after you kill an enemy, they always turn into a thing called a cell, which is a little item you have to grab or the enemy will respawn.
Yeah.
And that can be really annoying, especially if you're fucking up in fights like I was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I handicapped myself in this game by being dumb. So in this game you get an item.
That is a loaded statement.
Well, okay, you get an item called limiters, and I thought limiters were like limit breaks kind of idea, something to make you more powerful. Okay, so I turned them all on, and then as the game progressed, I'm like, God, this is getting really hard. I'm like, and after I die, and the game's like, do you want to play the limiters on or off? I'm like, well, if they're helping me, why would I turn them off? I'm like, oh no, then I realized what I was doing wrong.
Yeah, for those who don't know, limiters are things that you can turn on to make the game more difficult and give you more experience in return. But some of those are just insane. And one of them makes multiple cells appear when they die. So I'm sure you're having a real tough time with that.
Yeah, God. And I'm like, man, they all have shields, they're all bad. So what the hell? Like, why is it? I'm like, oh. Game got so much easier if I turned it off.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
I was dying a bunch in the end, and that's how I realized I was fucking up.
Spawn more shields, or spawn more cells. The cells respawn faster. You lose access to 6 memory, which is devastating. Oh, yeah, that...
Oh, I don't know why. I just thought they were helping me out, because you were getting them at level up.
I want to say Bastion had something similar. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played it.
It was one of my dumber moments it was my dumbest moment in this game. But oh man, after I got done, because I played a good chunk of this game with 3 limiters on, and after that, you know what? The game got a lot easier.
You're fighting with weighted shoes on, so once you took those off, you could open up.
Yeah, I mean it was great. Like I'm like, wow, every fight isn't a pain anymore. And I know you briefly mentioned it before, but when you kill the spy, like we weren't kidding. You literally have a scene of her walking in a 2D design. You see the heart, and you just cut out the heart.
It's so cool.
Yeah,
it's brutal. And like, there's a part she rides a boat too. Is one of the cutscene transitions. She rides the bike twice, and she also rides the bike twice. She also rides a swarm of the little process things that you fight at one point.
Yeah. The bike is cool because you crash it the first time, so you have to leave it where you are, and then you eventually circle back around, and by the time you come back, that area is just unrecognizable. It wasn't until I saw the bike that I'm like, oh shit, this is the same place.
Because the storytelling thing too. How it does that in this game. Because normally when you redo an area, it's like, okay, we're running out of time or money, we're just gonna throw you back in the same area because we don't want to make new assets. But they're completely new assets. I mean, games do it all the time.
Yeah.
Not unusual, especially, look at Chrono Trigger, how much it reuses sprites sometimes later on in the game. Yeah. Or the DS version of Chrono Trigger, where they completely just reused all the sprites to make new areas.
That's fine. I mean, this game does it with the enemies because they just upgrade the existing ones, but it's fine.
I wish they didn't upgrade because they get hard as hell. Like, also that part when you're going up to the tower, when we mentioned earlier where you find Kendall, Asher, and the other guy that are dead, and like the whole conversation you have in the terminals as you're going up, if he keeps sending you messages, it's kind of it's very deep too. Like you can kind of see the depression and everything hitting him as you're climbing up the tower.
Yeah,
he's kind of losing it.
Yep. It's like, this is not what we intended to do, but I understand that you need to do what you need to do. But then he doesn't give you the satisfaction.
He kills himself. Which, I mean, you commit certain crimes, it's time to go sometimes.
But I mean, in the world Transistor, no one's truly dead because now they just live in the sword. So the man in the Transistor's like, okay, we got questions.
Maybe they didn't. I mean, they should have realized that.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question for both you guys. But did either of you use the dog at all that you can summon?
Yes.
Help?
Yeah.
The help function. Yeah, like, not a whole lot. It was one that if I needed to pull something off to make room in the memory, it's one I would pull out. But
I used him a few times, but he wasn't super useful to me. But I wonder if I just didn't have him set up right or something.
He can be very useless or incredibly useful, depending on how you have him set up. He was like a staple in my setup for all of the game up until I started fighting the man enemies. and I demolished the spine using the dog.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
Because he gets his own separate turn order.
Yes.
Like if you press R1, he can like just bark and he just annihilates things if you give him the right upgrades.
That's so cool. I love that there's so many options for combat.
Yeah,
He didn't annihilate anything for me, but he did bark at stuff and hurt him. I gave him the heart once. Oh god, don't do that, because the heart will turn enemies on your side. So he would bark, turn the enemy on my side. It would be on my side for like 10 seconds, and then he'd just go run away. I'm like, this is stupid. I got taken off real fast. That heart was terrible for me, because I would hit something, I would charm it, it would be on my side, but then I just I want to kill it, not work with it. So, yeah,
it can help for like some enemies, but it's pretty like that's playing with fire, especially if you forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
Switch is the function, but it kind of reminded me of Binary Domain, where you could shoot the heads and they would fight the other robots, but they're like mostly dead because you just took so much damage out of them anyway. So if you're hitting them with switch with something attached to something super heavy, they're going to be near death anyway. So it's not going to. I don't know. I didn't have a whole lot of success with it.
Hey, but at least in Binary Domain, you can hurt them and kill them when you're ready to. In this game, you can't hurt them when they're charmed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I was very upset.
Control has an ability like that too, where you can turn enemies to your side, and it's a lot of fun to use on that.
I need to play that.
Yep, you do.
And then they're like near the end of the game, after I think right before you find out that they killed themselves, they have the message where they send a message to Cloudbank saying, "We did this. We're sorry. We fucked up."
Even though there's no one left to read it, which I think
just you.
Transistor even says that. And people aren't really getting these messages anymore.
But he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, they wiped out an entire city. You know.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think the city is the only thing of life too in this place. I don't think there's anything else but the city.
And they had been killing people for a while, because a lot of the functions you come across when you open up the tab that shows the lore, and the man in the transistor's like, "Man, I thought he moved. That was years ago."
Oh, they were doing it for a long time then.
Yeah, they've been at it for a while apparently.
Okay, it's very interesting. Like it really made me care about the story without giving me a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of like Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's actually what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I want to do Dark Souls so bad in this show, but there's just no way.
No, there's no way.
Not as a regular episode. It has to be something very unique and special, and I can't.
That might be something like whenever we get around to video with the episodes, like show some of our terrible gameplay of it.
I've beaten Dark Souls, but it's
impressive.
It's a monster. It was before a podcast when I had time. So I also as you progress through the game and the enemies upgrade, they always show you the enemies upgrade. And when you hit right trigger to go into your turn mode, it will show you that they have changed a little bit and tell you what's changed. I think that was also very cool from a gameplay static.
Yeah. Instead of just, wow, this guy's hitting harder, or this guy has a shield now, it's like, this is what's going on. A
green imp instead of a blue imp, so he must be stronger.
Right.
Yeah, I like that how it did it. It didn't I don't really care when you reuse sprites because I understand or reuse designs, but I like how he did it in this game. I thought it was very well.
Yep.
And then change their name too. They go from 1.0, 2.0, 3.0.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing of the given an excuse for a silent protagonist. It's given an excuse for reusing the same asset.
Yeah. I really did like the silent protagonist though. But I have no problem with him for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind if the guy don't talk. He don't need to talk. He doesn't need to make himself sound like an idiot. I don't need to hear.
Yeah.
The show.
I know you do. Henry, you want to talk about the man enemies that we brought up a couple times?
Yeah, so we're just talking about like how they don't like they're reusing assets. I think the man enemy combat encounters were probably the only part of the game where I felt like that was actually like it just kind of went on for too long, because you just keep fighting room after room after room of them. But I had a really good loadout, so it went by really quick because I kept like essentially slaughtering them. But like it is really noticeable because you just like you only fight like man enemies for like the last 5-6 rooms.
They're the last variation of enemies that they introduced too, and they save the best for last because they hit like trucks. They are super fast. And I think there's even a battle where you're fighting like 3 different flavors of them.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
That has to do with what's happening in the game when you get there, because this is the point when you roll the little process swarm to the final area, or at least you did something to get to the final area. Everything's a clean slate. You have Rote. What the hell is the guy's name?
Royce.
Royce.
Yeah, whatever.
Not Rice.
You have R talking to you on little TV monitors that are floating around, talking to you, telling you about, hey, you got to come find me and this and that. And that's when you're fighting the man enemies, which are people that were processed and not killed, but turned into robots, essentially.
That's wild.
So it's kind of like that. That's the point. It's this very dark thing that's happening, and how evil these people were, what they did. And he's not. I mean, we're granting them like, oh, I'm sorry, I fucked up. This guy's like, no, we're gonna fix it. I didn't fuck up. We just gotta fix it.
Mm-hmm. It's like you and me together. We could use that paintbrush you're holding to reshape the world however we want. Like, yeah, I got you this far, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe know when it's over.
I mean, I think that's why you're fighting those man enemies too. Like, it's more, everything in this game kind of has some meaning to it. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah. I wish they had more variety or something, because they can two-shot you. Like, they're deadly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a problem with them. I also turned limiters off at this point too, but I had no problem with them. Like, they were not hard for me. Surprisingly, like, I had easier time with them than I did with some of the other enemies earlier in the game.
Well, you play the rest of the game on hard mode, so that was probably par for the course at that point.
It was a chunk of the game on hard mode, but that might have been part of it. Yeah, I turned it off by now, but I didn't have any problem with them at all.
No, I mean, like, it's not so much like they're too hard. Like, I really struggled with them on my first 2 playthroughs, but I used Void, which like debuffs the enemy so they take more damage, and then I just used that with Crash and Breach, and I could essentially just like take out 2 of them in one turn.
Nice.
It's just like, they really, I don't know, their design is really unnerving, which is really cool.
And they shoot out the haircut enemies so they can make more enemies to fight.
Yeah.
Oh, we should talk about the back door thing that pops up throughout this game in a couple different parts.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a little like safety room type thing where she can go, and there's like time trials or something you can do too, which I bothered with one, failed, and that was it.
Oh, I got the first one. I think I did even the second one, and I'm like, I don't think these are doing anything for me. I think they give you experience, but maybe it.
Yeah, I only did 2 of them, and then I didn't bother touching the rest of them because I did the optional challenges in Bastion and just hated those.
Boy, yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one that just said screw this. I went in there once, saw what it was, and went, nah, I'm good.
Get a little fox pet in there, though.
Oh yeah, it's super cute.
Mm-hmm. I still really like the cutscene when she's eating pizza, and I like how you can choose. I know it's a long time ago, but I still want to bring it up. How you can choose different pizzas to order, and I ordered the monster.
Yeah, the sea monster
pizza.
Yeah,
even the man, the Transistor's like, well, there's really only one option here, even though there's 4. And the second time I was going through the game, I picked something else. He's like, I guess that's good too.
But I really like that. Like, there's a scene. It's midway through the game when after you get the pizza, you fight Sybil. You get to her apartment, and they go in the apartment, and they shows her eating and laughing with the sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then she locks the door, and he's like, "You locked yourself out of your apartment."
Yeah, it hits.
It's like, you're not coming back.
It's like, one way or another, she's not coming back to this apartment.
And I really like that. And I think that kind of really hits like what's going on with the story and what's going on in her mind.
It's so impressive the way they convey so much story with such little dialogue. You don't need full motion cutscenes or anything like an RPG. It's very impressive.
Hey, Chrono Trigger did it too.
Yes, that is true, but there's still people standing around talking for minutes on end.
Yes, what do you think, Chrono? Okay, we'll do that too, Chrono. Yeah, you have those moments too. I have to reference the best game ever made whenever I can.
Yeah. Your favorite game ever made. Don't put it on everyone else.
It is one of the best, though.
Yeah, go back and listen to episode 100. You made someone out there very upset just now, I'm sure.
I know. That was on purpose. So... Anything else you want to say about the enemies, or should we go on to the final boss, or anything we have missed?
Don't know.
I don't think so.
Covered it pretty well.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple questions about the final boss fight. So as you're getting... I was confused what the hell's going on. So as you're getting to Royce, you end up in a room with a bunch of transistors? Like, you get teleported somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, you use the transistor to rewrite the process or send them away to like get them to just leave the city, because you can't beat them, but you can just send them elsewhere, and you're too
murder
close.
Other people? Okay.
I guess it's really unclear. They might just go off and like, I don't know, deforest someplace. But you get absorbed into the transistor because you're like too close.
Okay. Because I was really confused when you go in there. Like, I don't remember any of this final part where you're walking in the red background. She puts the sword in the cradle. I have no recollection of any of this. I don't know why. I know I did it, but I have no recollection of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did it yesterday, so it's all very fresh.
Like, I stood there for a couple minutes and, like, I really don't want to put the sword in here. Like, I feel like this is the bad choice, but it doesn't give you an option.
I just wish I could. I don't know why I can't remember this.
I don't know, because we beat it, like, 2 weeks ago.
Only a week. But I stay about it. Well, maybe you're right. No, I did beat it for my... Yeah, you're right. Never mind. It has been like 2 weeks. But, yeah, I don't remember. Okay, so you shove the sword in the cradle, which kind of like resets the computer or something.
Something like that.
The world.
Yeah, it just like sends. It's to control the process, basically.
Okay, I'm watching the cutscene right now to see if any of it makes sense. I can't hear anything, but at least I can watch it. Okay, I guess I don't know why my brain did not like. I think I was tired. I was just trying to finish this game quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember all of a sudden I was in a boss fight in the frickin' room in a weird area with a bunch of transistors in the background, and he has a transistor. And I was very confused.
Yeah, it makes for an interesting boss fight because suddenly you're fighting someone that can do everything that you've been doing the whole game.
So, is there only one transistor then?
Unclear. Because obviously he has one too, so...
But you're inside the cradle, inside where the bunch of them are, but there's only one outside in the real world, I think.
Yeah, only one in the real world, but I think there's a bunch in the cradle, like in the transistor world.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's tough, because he's like... It's like, well, who should go first? How about me? And then all of a sudden, he activates the turn order that you've been doing. He stops time, and you just have to watch as he loads up all these functions against you, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, I know you struggled in this fight.
I died 4 times. I had to use a guide. Or I looked up a video. I saw what they did for their setup. I did that setup, and I still barely beat them.
It was it's pretty tough because, like we said, that when you die, it activates the emergency turn, and then if you die again, it starts taking away your functions. And I had become pretty reliant on that ping combo I was talking about earlier. So when he got me that first time, it pulled ping off. I'm like, oh shit! Like I was so reliant on it, I had to start falling back into other options, and I still managed to beat him on the first try. But man, is it tough.
I mean, you can kind of hide around the things in the trash can looking thingies to divert some damage from him. And I know I followed your idea where I would hit him and I would run as far as I could away from him and try to slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, we hadn't mentioned that as you move during turn order, it takes up some of that turn function. So you do the same thing to him. You kind of run away from him and he has to move to you and it burns up some of his turn.
But he's terrible. That was a really hard fight, and I did not like it at all.
It's very well designed though, because like I said, you're fighting a mirror. You're basically fighting someone that can do everything that you can do.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was very.
How dare you even the playing field?
Yeah, that's how I felt. Because he's powerful as hell too. He has some good moves.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hitting me. I'm pretty good with him at first until, once I started to kind of, kill him a couple times and he got rid of some of those moves, then he wasn't as bad. I mean, I was running out of moves too, but it's...
He probably wasn't playing with limiters on either, so...
I had limiters off. Oh, yeah, no, I know that. I still can't believe I did that. I was like, wow, really, Mike? Really? Why are you playing like this?
At least you made it openly on the podcast.
Well, I make games easier. I mean, anyone who listens to the show knows I find ways to cheat, even like with, I think Adam made a comment once on Symphony Night episode. He's like, you find a way to cheat even when you're not cheating. How I got the Carcinogen in.
The Chrysogram, yeah.
Yeah, like with not even trying. I wasn't even farming. I just got lucky and it dropped my third guy I killed or something like that. Or the first one I killed. It dropped really fast and I was like, what the fuck? So, yeah. I don't make games hard. I want them easier. I want to blow through them and move on to the next game. Because that's what we do here. So... I don't know why I did limiters, but okay. Anything else say, Henry? Anything you want to say about Royce?
My fight was very different from your guys's. It was basically an execution for me because of my Void Crash Breach combo. Like it just demolished him. I had him on the ropes the whole time.
Wow,
that's the right way to play it, though.
Royce is a great character too, though. Like his voice acting is so good.
Mm-hmm. He is definitely one of those. He's kind of like G-Man, where he's very level tone the entire time he's talking to you, and it kind of makes you hate him because he's so calm in the face of all this chaos that he's sown. Like, hey, this guy needs to go, and like you can't even beat him because even when he dies, he still wins because he gets to experience what it's like to be in the Transistor. Like, either way, he wins. He can't do anything from that point, but yeah.
Oh, because he's inside. Did he get killed by the Transistor too or something? Or how did he get inside of it?
Oh, yeah,
he's killed in the Transistor. Like, you get absorbed into it, and then only one of you can leave. So he's essentially killed.
Mm-hmm. He's trapped in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Although he gets company here real soon.
Yeah.
This is a Okay, so after you beat him, you have like a little part where you walk around with the Transistor and you start resetting the world or something, kind of. Yeah. Like you start remaking it in the way that it should be.
Yeah, the man's like, you basically reshape the world however you please. It's like, it's all for you now. And it lets you kind of restore some of the area you saw earlier in the game. And then apparently Red's just like, nah.
You find the block where he died, and I restored the block, and then you see his body, and it says air because she can't bring him back to light. Mm-hmm. And she pretty much tried. And then he starts talking. He's like, "What are you doing, Red? Don't do it!"
Oh man, she lays down next to him real slow, and it's like, "Oh no, she's not about to do what I think she's going to do." And she uses this command over the Transistor that we hadn't really seen up to this point. She just kind of levitates in the air, and in one fell swoop, she stabs herself with it, same way he died at the beginning. It's like, it hurts. It hurts real bad. But now they're together.
And he keeps saying, "Don't do this. Don't do it." I mean, and he says it over 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to it right now.
He basically has to watch her kill herself just to be with him again.
It's kind of heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. But then we get that short scene of them standing in a cornfield or whatever, a wheat field, and he's like, "Hi," and she says, "Hey," and then it goes to black. It's like, oh, don't make me cry, how dare you.
And you see her slump against his dead body too when she dies.
Mm-hmm. It's so well done. Again, just what little dialogue there is, it's so impactful.
The game really hit me a lot more than I expected.
It's so good.
Yeah. I had no expectation to come into this game and be like, all right, I was just like, I need to play it. And this ending made me tear up a little too.
It's so good.
Anything you want to say, Henry, about the ending? I know we covered most of it already.
I just like how bittersweet it is, because it's like she does kill herself, but then they are together again. It's like it doesn't feel like a clear victory, really. I really like that.
And they also, like what you were talking about, this does look like the country too, so maybe, like you guys said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely something to all that. Because I think one of the functions you find early on, he's talking about whoever it was, and he's like, well, she's in the country now.
Okay.
It's so...
It's a really good game.
I just keep repeating myself, but it's so impressive, so well done.
Oh, and I should say this, if you're still listening to this and you're wondering, like, even though we already spoiled the story, I should have had this at the beginning of the episode, you might already own this game and not realize it. It was on Epic Games Store a long time ago for free, so it's a very good chance if you claim, like I do every single week, you have it in your library.
Yeah, it was also a PlayStation Plus game, well, years ago now, but if you have that, you might have gotten it through there too. And it goes on sale all the time. I think I got it for like $3 on Switch a few months ago.
Oh, nice. I just played the version I had on Epic for free.
Yeah. I have it on PC. I have it through PlayStation Plus. I'm like, I kind of want it on the Switch, so I got it on there too. It's nice to finally finish a game that I've bought 3 times or twice, and then through a service.
I know how that feels.
Yes, I know you know how that feels.
I do it constantly. I bought so much of my library over again on 360, PS3. I bought it on Steam. Certain games I just keep rebuying for cheap.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for a few bucks.
You never know. Plus, I found I really like playing on my computer more than anything, so that's kind of how it happened. All right, any last things we should say about the game before we go on to questions, comments, or memories?
The only other thing, it's like, it only happened to me once, but if you put the help function in your passive slot, which, hey, there's also passive slots. I don't think we mentioned that.
We did not.
Okay. Yeah, you put one of the functions in a passive slot, and it gives you different passive abilities. But if you put help in there, you have a 25% chance of, when you turn on the turn phase, you turn into like super user, and it gives you the ability, the function kill, which does 500 base damage, which is cool. But I only had it happen once.
So that's where that came from. I got it a bunch in the final fight.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I was wondering what happened. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take this.
It still isn't enough to kill one of the man enemies, though. They still have 100 health left over if you use it on them.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. I keep saying that, but go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. I would say for closing, Transistor expects a lot of you. Like, it's pretty hard, and if you want to get a sense of like the story and characters, you have to like both constantly switch out your loadout and also read through all of the lore. And even then, the story doesn't spoon feed itself to you. So it's just like challenging in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of that's intentional. They definitely want to leave some holes to leave it open to interpretation, but it's so well done, I don't even mind.
Oh,
Reminds me of
sure.
our Silent Hill 2 episode where there's a lot of unanswered questions, and it turned out to be a really fun discussion about, well, maybe it's this or this and this, and I kind of like that in games, apparently.
Okay. You also like things that change, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot. All right, I have a few questions. I actually posted this in 4 different groups. We'll start with, I have nothing from the Laser Time group, so, guys, I'm sad. I actually got a decent amount, though, from the other groups that I posted this in. I posted it in the Hard Drive 2 Drive Harder group.
Good name.
I don't know. It's a PC group mostly, so I figured it's a PC. This game to me has always been a PC game, so I figured I'll try elsewhere and spread the propaganda of games my mom found. So, first one I'm going to read is from Robert Grant Young. Transistor was probably the last game I was super hyped for. I watched the various trailers over and over, pre-ordered on Steam, played and beat it the first week, spent less time playing over the next month to beat a second run through 100% achievements. I love this game. I love the art, the gameplay, the writing, the soundtrack. Paper Boats is absolutely GOAT. The only thing I dislike is the lack of replayability. After 100% achievements, the game doesn't offer anything new. This doesn't keep me from highly recommending it to anyone. Okay.
I'm glad he said that, though, because that reminded me, when you beat it, it's like Bastion, where it gives you the option to start over, but everything's harder. So you keep all your functions and your experience, but you're fighting like the man enemies really early on. It's still cool. So if you want more, it is there.
All right, another one from Sean Lutoski. I probably said that wrong. It's probably my actual favorite Supergiant game, but it's so hard to pick. I played every single game of theirs on release and quickly became my favorite developers. But honestly, I think Transistor has some of the easiest music to show to others who have never heard of it or just don't play games in general. It might be my bias, but each original soundtrack of theirs has such a unique flair to it while intertwining the story that it makes it hard for me to speak as to which is the best. Pyre is extremely underrated, but Transistor really had me hooked in this world between the powers being tied to its side story and world building, encouraging you to explore different mix and match gameplay styles. It's just the general atmosphere and sense of wonder to what the hell happened. It might just slightly beat Hades and Pyre for my favorite story. There you go, some Pyre love.
That's all well said. Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about Pyre at the end of the last week's episode or not.
It was in the top 10 episode, I think.
I thought it was when we announced Transistor last week, but I don't know. Mike bought it for me for my birthday, and I'm anxious to get into it. But
you got to beat 13 first.
Yeah, okay. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I know.
What little I've seen of it, there's a lot of Supergiants carryovers. Like, they like to do a lot of the same things between their games. Because even Hades has some of that equipping passive abilities that give you, different passive abilities. And the way the Transistor talks to you, like the narrator did in Bastion, like, it's cool that they keep some of those little themes across all their games.
Here's one from Brian Murphy. The narrator bro in this game comes off as a really annoying fedora beard, men writing women type to me. I found the game really forgettable, so I can't pick out a specific impression of why I felt that way, but I remember I did. Isn't the ending that you just gank yourself for no real reason to?
Ouch. That one hurt a little bit.
All right, and here's another. It's kind of funny. And here's another one from Steffi Smith. So, like the end, you just kind of kill yourself to become a trade wife after a clingy lesbian stalker and a gay couple destroy society and make it unlivable for you, despite all having the power to reshape things.
Correct. It's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah. Okay. From Che Ray, I listen to the soundtrack all the time.
There you go, Henry. There's another one.
Good soundtrack. Last one I'm going to read from this group. From Dan Sulfur. I didn't love the gameplay as much as I wanted to, but on balance, I really liked the game because of how strong the artistic aspects were. Just a very cool vibe, cool art design, and a great original soundtrack. And it had become a staple at my TTRPG table in the before time when we were allowed to play in person.
Nice.
What was that like?
I don't remember.
It's been a long time from those days. Mm-hmm. All right, and then I'm going to read a couple from Giant Bomb, then I'll go to Overblow, which I actually have a question. I have a lot of questions. So.
I saw that.
I like when people actually give us questions. It doesn't happen often, but it's nice when it does.
It's Cody again. He hooked us up.
See, when I only ask for questions, I get nothing, so that's why I don't ask for only questions. From the Giant Bomb group, From Jason Forberg, one of my favorite games of all time. Took psychedelics and played with a beach ball a ton with a fucking perfect music playing.
My God. I'm not playing it right, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's probably a really interesting game when you're high as hell on psychedelics.
I mean, we don't understand as it is, so I can't imagine that helps.
It doesn't have to help. It just makes it more interesting. From Joel Sosa, I downloaded at a time I didn't have much time to play games, so I never launched it. When I did have time, Hades was out, and I dumped over 100 runs in that game. That is my memory of Transistor.
Man, I still haven't beat Hades. It's
you were playing it a bunch, though.
I did. I think we talked about that with Adam off recording, but yeah, I put a bunch of hours into it. I made it to Hades, and I beat what I thought was him, and then he had a second form. I was like, fuck.
That's why I don't play roguelikes. Like, I have 20XX on my computer, but I haven't touched it in a long time because I just suck at it.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame, too, because that game is amazing.
I enjoyed what I played. I with the way the show is, I can't stick on. I just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't stop the show, so.
At least you didn't start up Stardew Valley like an idiot when you're supposed to be playing games for the show.
Yeah.
I started it last weekend, and I'm like at the end of the first year, so I put some time into it this week.
I almost bought that for Tiff, but I haven't yet. All right, enough of that. From Will Bailey, I completed a couple times through. Really love the art style and music, somewhat simple combat, but the customization you're allowed really lets it shine. It's a very close third favorite Supergiant game, Hades, Bastion, Transistor.
Okay,
here's a good one. From Sean Effinger. I haven't played it since it came out, but I absolutely loved it. I still plan on getting that floating city art as a tattoo.
Oh, that would be cool.
The art is super good in this game. We haven't really talked about that enough, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really good art.
And just the way the Transistor itself looks is very awesome.
All right, from Heidi Martini, my favorite game and soundtrack from them. I have the cutest red figure, too. I would like a figure of red, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally.
I used to have a figure of Kasumi, but I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I like that little figure. From Thomas JG, best game ever for me. The story is so on point with society involvement. Love the music, a big love all around. Okay, here's
awesome.
one. I'm going to read two more from this group, then I'm going to be done with this group. From Jay Petriquin, stellar idea for a combat system. I love when a game forces me to take its mechanics and turn them over, use upside down. This game does it in all angles. Okay?
Yeah,
and
that's accurate.
This guy is oh, that's cool. And this guy is speaking, he's speaking like me, from Arthur Perez. I own this on iOS, PC, and PS4. I haven't played it once.
No.
I understand, sir. I'm the same way with a lot of games. I keep buying. I'm like, I'll play this one day.
It's weird. I have Supergiant's gamography pulled up, and each subsequent game they release is on less systems. Because Bastion was on everything under the sun, and then Transistor cut out Xbox. Pyre wasn't on Switch. Well, it hasn't been released on Switch yet, I guess. But then Hades is only on PC and Switch.
How is Hades not on PS4?
I don't know. I'm sure it's coming, but
yeah, I think it's going to come to PS4 and Xbox One, maybe even next-gen systems too.
It should. It came out late enough that it really should come on both. All right, now we actually have a bunch of questions from Cody Tagart. So, first one, how does it stack? Oh, this is from the I Watch the Entire Overload Super Replay group. First one, how does it stack up to other Supergiant games? Mike, go first.
Gameplay is pretty similar to Bastion, except for being able to stop time like we were talking about. The story is definitely better than Bastion's, I think. Man, it's been so long since I hate it. Or since I played it, so I hate to even try and compare it. Pyre I haven't touched, and Hades, like I said, it carries a lot of the same themes, but it's such its own thing, it's hard to compare them to. But it on par with their other stuff, I'll say that.
Anything you want to say, Henry?
Yeah, there's a good case to be made for every Supergiant game that each one is the best one. Mm-hmm. I think Transistor definitely has the best story out of all of them for sure. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's my favorite soundtrack, but that's subjective. Yeah.
Okay. I've only played this in Bastion. I haven't played Bastion in over 7 years. So I remember liking Bastion. I just looked at a video of it. I'm like, I remember liking this. And that's all I got. So, and I never played Pyre. I never played Hades.
Pyre is really good. Pyre is their most unique game, I think.
Yeah,
Don't say that right now. He's got to play 13.
Again, I can't remember if we talked about it on recording, but Adam was telling us about it. He's like, it's a sports game, and I looked up the Steam page, and was tagged as an RPG. I'm like, what is this game?
Yeah, that's the problem with it. You can't. Yeah. It's so hard to describe it.
I'm looking forward to diving into that one.
I'm looking forward after you beat the other game you're supposed to play. You're not going to beat 13, are you?
Probably not. Okay. I'll try and play more of it today, though.
Hey, just put on your cheat codes and just gun everybody down. It's fun.
Yep, that is fun.
Until you get to the part where you have to play all stealth because you can't be seen. Except in 13, if they see you and they go, alert! As long as you kill them before they do the next action, you're okay.
Okay. Well,
so just remember, the game's not over. Even if they start screaming alert, as long as you shove a bullet in their head while they're screaming alert, it's okay.
I got a good idea where I'm going to be stopping then.
Even if they're on the radio and they're like, hey, Captain, he's here. I found him. And you shoot them in the head before they finish their sentence, it's okay. No alert happened.
Yeah, it's like Metal Gear Solid 3. It's like, we have an intruder shot. What's going on out there? There's no way to tell.
It couldn't be the intruder. Just killed him. Nah, he's fine.
Nope. Send some people out. They'll be fine.
All right, a couple other questions from Cody also. Did you like the world of Cloudbank?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
It was very unique, even I have no idea what the hell is going on. And let's see, he's got a lot of questions. Did you go with a more live play style, or did you use a slow down most?
Yes.
Slow down.
I use turn quite a bit, but like I said before, I spent a lot of time just using ping.
I didn't use ping at all. I don't think I didn't like it. I play differently than you.
Mm-hmm. That's what's great about this game is you can play it however you like.
And he has a couple more. Favorite part?
I said that before. It's when Red tells the man, the Transistor, that she's going to find whatever's doing this to him and break its heart.
That is cool.
My favorite part was actually optional. You know how at the end when you're going back through the empty stage, there's also those cluckers? If you hum, they'll like bob up and down to your like last performance. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I remember that scene. Man, Transistor's like, whoa.
And then he has favorite music. I can't answer to this one, so.
Spine of the World, hands down.
Old Friends, I think, the first track, because it's such a great like tone setter. Like it's so Transistor. Like it's really good.
Okay. I have nothing because I enjoyed it, but I don't know any. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff.
You didn't say your favorite part.
I don't have one. I don't think. I can't really think of anything that really like jumped out at me that was like, wow, this is good.
The ending.
Okay, the ending, but I wasn't favorite. It was just cool, but I was not super excited about it. I don't know. I don't really have one. I mean, I enjoy the game. It's a really good game. I don't know. I can't think of a favorite part. And then last question: how was the story?
Confusing, but still awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty great. Like it's really good. It's got really great characters, and that's what I prioritize most in stories is like the character work. And I think the characters in Transistor are all like really good and really interesting. Mm-hmm. So even though some of the details are vague, like the characters are good enough to like keep me going.
Even characters that you don't spend a lot of time with, like Sybil, she's got such a deep background that you just have to look into to get.
Yeah.
And it works well for that.
And the fact that any game that gets me interested in the story is a testament to how good it is. Because exactly, yeah.
It really is. I mean, I know that for a fact now after doing the show with you. I'm like, oh, you really don't care about story.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Seldom.
So I think that about wraps up this section of the show. I think we should go to Shelf or Box.
Okay, doke.
And Mike, since it's your pick, why don't you go first?
I think it's pretty clear to this point, after I've been raving about it for this entire episode, it's going on the shelf. Like, just talking about it here, I'm like, I kind of want to go back and play it again just to see how I can mix it up and try different play styles and whatnot, and actually read the rest of those profiles and try to make more sense of the story. So far, it's my favorite Supergiant game. We'll see if Hades ends up winning me over if I can actually beat the damn game sometime. But it's great. I'm super glad I finally put it on the show.
Okay. And I'll go next. I'm not going to go on the shelf. I really, I had no expectations when I came into this game. I was going to okay, I'll play it. I'm sure it'll be fine. I've heard a lot of good things. I was excited to play it, but I just didn't really know what I was going into. And I left very surprised, and I really had a great time. Like this was a really good game, and I was immensely surprised how much I enjoy it. I probably won't play it again anytime soon because I don't need to, and I don't really want to see her die again. So I'm okay, but I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to play it. And
these are my favorite picks that I put on the show. Is this and Ape Escape 3 that just come out of nowhere and like you just absolutely love.
Yeah, no, Ape Escape 3 was amazing. I tried to make you take it off the show multiple times and use it, but
so I knew.
Oh, I was greatly surprised. It didn't do super well, but it was great.
That's fine. So. It was for us.
That's it. That's kind of what this season, next season, I feel like they're just for us, and then I'll get back into doing more name brand, more known after that. Once I get out things that just I need to play.
Yeah, I got some weird stuff coming next season. It'll be fun.
That's a good way to do it, though. Like, do what you like, right?
Yep.
It doesn't help numbers per se. It's just that this is the first season that because we and him wrote the last season together, but it was also at a time when we had a lot going on. I was just trying to throw stuff in, get guests quickly. I had to rewrite a season, and this one we had time, so we just put the weirdest. We put weird shit on here that I just wanted to play, like Robotech Battle Cry 13. I mean, these are not well-known games that we're playing. Dirge of Cerberus, like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's relevant again though. That's funny.
It is funny, but it really is.
What about you, Henry?
Oh, well, like Transistor's got a killer story, great visuals, great music, great gameplay. What more can you ask for? So it's definitely like a shelf. Like I don't think I'll play it again anytime soon. Probably just wait like a year for me to forget the story again and then go for it again.
There you go. That's awesome.
It's not hard to forget though. I mean, not that it's not good. It just doesn't stick with you for some reason.
No, it's because it's so like opaque and like low on details for like some of it. Like you don't really know exactly what the Camerata's plan is, and I don't think they ever tell you. So it makes it really easy to like forget key details.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that's okay. It's 3 shelves. That's what I expected from this game, though. I think
absolutely.
There are some games where I know we are not going to be happy with, but this was one I knew we'd all be happy with. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about next week, though. And I'll let you know what we're talking about next week. Next week, we are covering 13, that game that nobody remembers. For some reason, I put it on the show because I really wanted to finish it.
They remembered enough to try and remaster it. Didn't work out super well, but people are going to remember it now.
I'm a little sad that it did so bad, or that it turned out so bad. Because I was kind of excited for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, and a lot of people are not happy.
Oh, and we're going to do a giveaway for the code next week too.
Oh yeah,
cool. If I remember. This is why I'm putting it in here, so I have to remember.
Good call.
So yeah, I have a free code for 13 Classic on Steam. So if you listen to next week's episode, I will be giving that code away at some point in the episode. Hopefully, somebody will actually claim it this time.
Hey, someone claimed Stalker.
Yeah, the guy in the show with me, because nobody else did. All right, that about wraps up this episode. I want to thank everyone for listening. Oh, and before I keep going, Henry, you want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel again?
Yeah, I do video essays on games. I've done one on Last of Us, Judgment, and recently Assassin's Creed Origins. If you want to start with any of my videos, start with the latest.
I did find it. If you search for Henry Chan Last of Us Part 2 on YouTube, it's one of the first results.
Or just click the link in the show notes that I will.
Or that.
That is shocking that I actually come up on the search bar.
Well, I had to get some specific with it, but I found it.
Don't feel bad. It's YouTube's like that.
Oh yeah.
When you're not making a lot of videos, or you're not getting a lot of people listening. They're very particular like that at first.
Good old YouTube algorithm. I can't talk all of a sudden.
I mean, I pop up on there now if you type in games my mom found, but it took a little bit.
Yeah, I believe it. Luck for the luck god.
It did not pick up at first. We got 96 subscribers so far. So if you're listening to this, you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I just need 4 more to get my custom URL.
Sweet.
So please do that. All right, and if you enjoyed this episode, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as I just said. And we have tons of other episodes. We don't have any other episodes that really kind of coincide with Transistors. I have nothing to recommend like I normally try to do. So just go through our backlog. We do comics, we do the MCU movies, we do film, we do all sorts of shit. You'll find something that you want to listen to. Our giant catalog of crap.
Yeah.
And if you can't find everything on Spotify or Stitcher, just use Podbean or Podcast Addict as an app that can download podcasts. That will show everything, because Spotify only goes back like 60 or 80. It goes back like a certain amount of episodes. Maybe it's 100. I don't know. I publish so much stuff that it doesn't show our whole catalog.
That's fun.
You gotta, if you're looking for more, you're like, hey, I can only see up to 60. It's all there. Just you need to go back and find other ways.
Also, if you're looking for more, thank you.
Hey, people are listening to it. People have I've had one guy comment on YouTube once about like, oh, hey, this is kind of fun. And I've had, over 5,000 people have clicked on Thor Dark World by now.
Something tells me it's not for us.
It's not for us, no. They click on it, and they click off it real fast, and they realize it's not the movie.
And again, we're doing you a favor. It's a great movie.
You're not wrong. That movie is just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst. It's not the worst movie of the series. It's just the most forgettable, I think.
Yeah. Well, go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear us crap on Thor: Dark World.
Oh, it's almost at 6,000 views at the moment. 5,976 at the time of this recording.
That's impressive.
With 16 likes and 12 dislikes.
Hey, it beat out Pac-Man World.
YouTube's a little different, though. This doesn't really count because it's not actually listens. It's just they click and go, oh, no. All right, and please want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bulby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney from ZP Bite the Bullet. This song is a cool kid squad. Definitely go check him out. You will see a link in the show notes. You will also see a link to Henry's channel on YouTube in the show notes, so definitely go check those out. And I already said go please follow, so please keep listening to these episodes. I have fun doing them, and I need more people to listen. So, and we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.